Yo, what up everybody? It's Casper. Just finished my Rocky 5 watch, and in this watch there's some good moments and there's actually some moments I'm not a fan of. I'm about to give you the rundown of it, so let's get straight to it. With Rocky 5, very excited to get this watch going in senses of Rocky and Rocky 4 just defeated Drago in his biggest fight of his career. He is feeling himself, and for sure my excitement was just the fact of him coming back home from Russia. So in Rocky 5, Rocky is coming back from Russia, but supposedly Rocky actually stayed in Russia for a couple months. So with Rocky 5, the movie in the beginning still had the great intro swag, which I loved. And in the beginning it was a trip because I didn't have no idea how we're gonna continue with this. I didn't want to spoil myself. So the fact that the movie started with him in the shower in the locker room, and he was in his head, not only in his head, he took so much head damage and he was like just looking down. The acting in that scene was great. The way Stallone presented that he took a lot of head damage with his hand twitching and with everything basically not being on his head, not thinking straight, the whole perspective of that was on point. And he rushed to have Adrian there, shows up in the locker room and actually talks to Rocky. Another great scene right there. So I thought the movie in the beginning did a good job with that scene. First scene was great. He is noticing his head is not thinking straight, forced to retire after having permanent head damage that the Russian strong Drago dude did to him. Crucial, brutal damage to the head. So now the movie starts with Balboa returning home, but when he gets home, Paulie ends up doing some bad business deal and discovers that a lot of his bread that he has saved up from a lot of the matches is invested by an accountant that tried to do an investment with his money and triple his money. It didn't happen. So now Rocky is in a tough situation with money. Rocky goes back to his little hometown, little city where Rocky 1 started. So he goes back from the beginning. And not only that, Rocky is really thinking about his old boxing days at Mickey's gym. So he goes back over there and revives Mickey's gym and opens it back up. And now he's like a coach and mentor and someone over, like a motivator now at Mickey's gym. Throughout that whole process, a new character arises, Tommy Gunn, and Tommy Gunn cannot live any day without having Rocky train him and coach him and manage him. But Rocky doesn't want to do it. Rocky knows that he can't compete in the ring like that because of his brain damage, and they need bread. So they see the opportunity with Tommy. From there, Tommy ends up gaining so much swag. He does Rocky so bad that he gave Rocky gave so much love to Tommy for Tommy just to ruin all that. Basically, he bit the hand who fed him, and Tommy Gunn did not like being under Rocky's shadow, and he wanted to be in the spotlight. While Tommy Gunn is seeing all this headlines of him being under Rocky's shadow, another character, promoter dude, ends up offering Tommy Gunn with cars, women, houses, and money, while Rocky was just offering valuable detailed lessons. But Tommy got very delusional and he got blinded by all the fancy stuff, and he does Rocky very dirty, and that's where the movie goes. Very different from the other Rockies, focused outside of the ring and more of a Rocky's personal life and what he deals with. Rocky's acting, I enjoyed it. I had a great time with it, but the beginning scene, the way he projected that injured and very fatigued, tired boxer look, he did a good job, and I thought he was gonna take off from there. But I had a little not fan moments with Stallone's acting because he went over the top. There was moments where he felt like he was yelling but trying to put that brain damage feel into it. It was just over the top but not very terrible. It was just sensitive. Like, he had very good pocket moments, and those other pocket moments weren't the greatest. So he had good pocket moments and then bad pocket moments. I don't know if the head focus and just creating this in general was rushed, but it kind of felt rushed to me in sense of like Stallone was just trying to go with the flow of just putting this character out of the ring and with head damage. So if there's more thought and feel, that would be dope, more detail. So Rocky's performance was good, but it was definitely something that navigated the other way from seeing the other Rocky movies. Wanted to point that out because the coaching was good, very good scenes with his son. Really enjoyed those good pocket moments like those. Adrian came again and stood out as well. You know, Adrian was very pissed and presented those emotions of being mad at Rocky for one, not being very responsible with the money. Obviously Paulie messed it all up and she was mad at Paulie, but Talia Shire did a good job once again. The growth in her acting is great. She's one of the characters in here that held this movie. She was an OG in this movie, so you know her presence was felt. Emotions and the lines again were good, and her being mad at the promoter Duke. Paulie is in the movie, but Paulie messing it up for Rocky's whole savings. Paulie once again poured good lines, and I'm glad that this movie put him by Rocky's side again in every situation he was in, from getting Mickey's gym back to noticing Tommy Gunn's actions towards the family. Burt Young, I enjoyed his acting, held it and held his own points in here, so I actually like Burt Young's acting, and I'm glad Paulie was in here. Sage Stallone, Rocky's son, it was a trip seeing him when Rocky landed from Russia, seeing how old he was. That's why it was a little trip, because I thought Rocky was only in Russia for a little bit, and then seeing his son from the 4th one into the 5th one caught my eye. He was in the 4th one, and then see him in this one, I was like, damn, like was Rocky in Russia for like years? Supposedly in Rocky 5, he's now 14 years old. I could be wrong, but I think he's 14 years old now. Sage Stallone did a good job of showing that he was pissed at his dad and not getting the attention that he once got. And there's a lot of accomplishments in this movie that Rocky Jr. did, and Rocky did a good job of acting wise, showing that he was more focused with Tommy Gunn. So the acting between, you know, father-son was actually good, and it felt real, and I'm glad that it was actually his son acting with him. It's just sad that this was like the most active they were with each other, and wish Stallone was more active with his son, but it was good for what it was. So you get a cool scene. Mickey ends up coming back to the movie on some quick flashback scene while Rocky's in the abandoned Mickey gym. That was so dope. It was goosebumps. But seeing Mickey again, it was crazy. You could see how older he was, but he still had that energy and he was still on go. Seeing Burgess Meredith in here, glad that they did that. And this movie did a good job in sense of just trying to bring that Rocky 1 vibe. Rocky 5 right here, he brought the director from Rocky 1, John G. Avildsen, from the Rocky 1 back into Rocky 5 to give that Rocky 1 feel. The fact that Burgess Meredith was in here, that was one of the things that it did bring that feel. So you see in this movie a lot of things that you saw from Rocky 1 put into Rocky 5 as flashback moments, and even in the present time moment as well. It was cool to bring back that Rocky 1 swag, crazy scene that Rocky seen Burgess Meredith, the ghost version, you know, seeing a flashback. So that was well done. Tommy Gunn, he was one of those characters. It's just a sad story in general because he got so much help and ended up backstabbing Rocky. The acting was good, it held up to its standard, and the presence was shown, and you could see that this movie is now in the 90s swag. So you saw some 90s swag in the movie, and with Tommy Gunn, like, you see that era back then with him. Tommy Gunn is actually played by Tommy Morrison, so that's a trip that he actually played his first real name in the movie. The character Tommy Gunn wasn't like a crazy villain in this franchise. It was just like personal side of seeing Rocky's life, and then this character is just involved. It wasn't like a crazy villain standout. Also sad, in real life, Tommy Morrison ended up passing away. The acting was good, and the interaction with him and Stallone, you could see that it was dope. It wasn't too much of montages in this movie. You just saw that this dude had strong power. The movie did good in showing that he didn't have like the heart. He just wanted to be a show off, and he lost all that motivation that was genuine at first. So Richard Grant, who plays the promoter character George W. Duke, his was like, damn dude, I'm annoyed of your rich vibe. I don't like his contract deals. He gave me that vibe like, oh my gosh, he's gonna definitely ruin everything. That character presentation was good, and you could see that side of boxing that is actually real in the business side. It was a good character, that person that you're annoyed of, very grimy and annoying, and you could see that he got in Tommy Gunn's head and he made Tommy Gunn that evil character, which sucked, you know, but it was a needed character in there. I like how it filled those pockets and those spots around the boxing world, and you saw a lot of different perspective. Duke from the other movies from Apollo's team, you see him in here, but you basically see him in the beginning. And that's basically it. So it was cool to get Tony Burden in here, but just basically for a little bit. So I didn't like the soundtrack. This movie, Rocky 5, is a 1990 movie. We're in the 90s now, and the soundtrack is trying to be on some hip-hop stuff. I wish they went a different direction, because some of the montage scenes and the scenes here in general get ruined by the songs in the back, the soundtrack. So I didn't like that. I wish they went a different direction. Made me put a point down just because of that. You know, it didn't give me that Rocky feel. It was like the little Rocky feel, like of it trying to be that, and I didn't like it. The last scene, the brawl, I enjoyed it because I'm just glad that Rocky beat Tommy Gunn's ass, and I gave Rocky a lot of confidence. Detail of knowing that Rocky still had that head trauma was real in that last scene, and it was actually shot very well. I actually enjoyed it. What I learned was there was a professional wrestler that actually helped with the choreography in that scene, so that's why when you see some wrestling moves, that's why, because there was actually a professional wrestler there, and that was dope. Well done. It was choreographed really well. I enjoyed it, and it gave that brawl look. Tommy Gunn's team saw his ass get beat, so I like that. Very different on the ending as well from seeing all the other Rockies. Very different, so I'm very excited to see where the last Rocky ends up doing. What I learned as well is Stallone's original script, he actually had this movie killing off Rocky. It's crazy to think that this movie would have been the last one. At that point, the last scene, I'm like, bro, this can't be the last movie because of only good pockets and, you know, not really fan of pockets in this movie. So I'm like, there's no way you end it like this. The whole production team over there for the Rocky stuff said, dude, change it. There's no way this character is gonna die off like that. Rocky means so much. Stallone changed it, and we get what Rocky 5 is. So that's a little fun fact about it, and that was crazy. There's a lot of sad stuff about this movie as well, of the facts behind the scenes. The fact that this movie is not Stallone's favorite movie at all. He gives it a 0 out of 10. Like, you could see why for many reasons, but I still had a good time in just seeing Rocky and all the characters that have been involved. And in the flashbacks, I was very open to this movie, even though it was a little different perspective. After watching Rocky 5 out of 10, I'm gonna have to give it a 8 out of 10. So that's my movie review for the movie Rocky 5. Shout out to you guys for tuning into the video. Like, comment down below for more reviews like this one. Until then, we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, y'all.